Hello, this is Blue Star, Defender of Equestria, and this is my AfterThought's review of Princess Spike. Well, that was certainly predictable, but yet was pretty cool at the same time. Yeah, I think that's still my kind of opinion of this episode, is that it was definitely very predictable. Again, mostly because I've seen episodes like this before, and it's, even if you haven't seen episodes like this before, in some ways, it's like, Spike, this is all gonna end in total horrific disaster. Telling a guy to not fix a water main break when it's literally broken and cracked, and, is not a good idea. But there were a lot of problems in this episode. To me, problems are only problems if they're kind of obvious, or they break the story, or they make you go, wait, what? And there definitely were those kind of problems here. For instance, I think the first one for me was, why are all these ponies coming to Princess Twilight with all these problems? Okay, the first two was perfectly understandable. Oh, there was a planning conflict. It's like, we need her to go resolve it because she was the one doing all the planning, so... But everything else is like the pony who's like asking for friendship advice from Twilight, I guess kind of makes some sense, but still, it just seems strange to me. It's like, well, because it certainly hasn't happened before, but I guess since they're at this summit or something, I guess it sort of makes sense that these ponies would come to her with those kind of questions, but unfortunately, you'd think that this would be common sense. It's like, you're not gonna, end your friendship over something like that, but as was said in AMY's video, common sense is unfortunately not very common. Oh dear. But anyway, that didn't make any sense to me. That made me go, what? Why are all these ponies here? When you dig deeper into it, it's like, why is this Spike's problem at all? It's not like this is one of those things of, it's a big secret, we gotta hide the fact that Twilight is basically unavailable. They're not trying to hide this from Princess Cadance. Cadance and the other princesses are fully aware of what's going on. All Cadance told Spike to do was, here, stand guard and make sure that Twilight is not disturbed. She didn't say, put him in charge of all these decisions. He's taking that upon himself, of course, because he had good intentions. But I think we all know that saying, about good intentions. Oh dear. But anyway, it's like, you would think that Cadance would have put some other pony in charge of Twilight's responsibilities, because Twilight just flat can't do them, so that's kind of a problem there. I did like Cadance an awful lot in this episode. There were things that I liked in this episode, but anyway, going back to Cadance, I like Cadance. This is one of the few times we've actually gotten to see her character a little bit, because, she's definitely, I think, the most undeveloped of the princesses. We haven't gotten to see her do anything or say very much, and it's always been during some big, huge crisis. But here I like that, it's like, I think that she always understands first. She always figures it out first. I like that a lot about her. That's so cool. It's like, she turns to Spike and says, as long as that's the only reason you're doing this. It's like, she's so figured it out. She's seen right through what Spike is thinking and feeling, and she knows what's really going on. And she's trying to nudge him along the right path and, see if he's gonna make the right decision in a very princess way, which is, they don't say, Spike, you should not be doing this. It's like, well, Spike, I don't know if that's the only reason that you're doing this. Maybe there's another reason you're doing this, which I actually do like and I support and everything. Because, it's easy to tell someone, go do that, or don't go do that. But, in a way, they don't learn, and sometimes they don't listen when you do that. So, that was just interesting. And there were a lot of funny things in this episode, and it was cool to see all the background ponies that we've recently seen, like Fluffy Clouds and everything. That was cool. And we did kind of get to see Canterlot a little bit more. And this episode in the end was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. Some other thoughts on this is like, they're gonna have to stock life preservers now in that Canterlot hall room or something, because first it was flooded by the smooths, now it's been flooded by the water main breaking. It's like, quick, throw Princess Cadance a life preserver. And throw one to Spike too. Oh dear, poor Cadance. It's like, look what the cat dragged in. Poor Cadance. But they handled that all very well, and of course we got to see her do magic, and crystals. Okay. Kind of makes sense, but still strange, but cool. And another thing that I think AMY and his co-host this week, I forgot his name, was it Bronny Buck, I think it was. Anyway, it's like might have sort of figured out that this feels very much like a convention. Because I think that's exactly what this is. This is like the Equestria version of BronyCon. That the badges that they're wearing, the ribbons, they look pretty much like the ones that were from BronyCon 2014. The color's slightly different, but essentially was that color, and I like that. It's like, this definitely reminds me of BronyCon and everything. It's like, yeah, all these ponies have come here to, in a way, celebrate their differences and them coming together for Equestria and everything. It's very reminiscent of BronyCon, and I like that. That's so cool. It's like... Yeah, I'm certain this was meant to be sort of the Equestria version of BronyCon, and I can't believe that no one else figured that out! In a way, I wouldn't expect A&Y to figure that out, because he's never actually been to BronyCon, and being that he's from Germany, I'm not too surprised by that, but so... Yeah, there was another thing that reminds me, at the beginning with Spike and everything, it's like, those guys are being quite rude. It's like, Spike is offering his help to all of them, and they basically blow him off and everything, and say, "We love you, Princess Twilight! We love all the princesses! Yeah!" That does remind me of a con, because I think I remember something like that happening at least once when I was at BronyCon, but yeah, it is quite rude. It's like, yeah, he's trying to help them, and he's just blowing them off. Ouch. Poor guy. I can't blame him for feeling this way, because yeah, he's feeling like, yeah, they don't want my help, I don't matter. It's like, oh, no one cares what I think. Oh, that hurts. I identify with that, shall we say. I just simply identify with that. But yeah, I mean, that was the central lesson here, is that, you know what? That everyone has a role to play here, no matter how big or small, and without everyone, there just wouldn't be anything at all. It's like... there was a lot in this episode, but it was okay. I mean, there's a lot that I could bounce around with, and I probably will, but my brain is malfunctioning, and and I also identify with kind of what Twilight's going through. It's like, I'm just so tired, I'm just gonna sleep on this stack of books. That was so befitting Twilight, though. It's like, of course, Twilight's in this, half asleep thing, and of course, she decides to sleep on the pile of books and then use the books as pillows. So, oh, that was cool. I kind of like that. I mean, but I don't think I've been quite that sleep deprived where I'm like, we're literally just collapse on the nearest thing. But, oh dear, but sleep deprivation. I hate it, I tell you, and I'm so bad at defeating it. Oh. And that was the other funny part. It was like when Twilight wakes up, so it's like, well, that was a nice nap. I'm back to normal now. Reminds me of this scene from Titan AE where character called Goon, basically, we got blown across the room, and it says, I think I'll take a little nap because I feel so very sleepy. Bleh. And the audience might think he's dead, but ultimately he returns in the following scene to basically rescue the heroes, and then just says, I finished my nap. And that reminds me, it's like, okay, I've had my nap, I'm ready now. Twilight's back to being Twilight. Oh, poor Twilight. She hasn't slept that well since she was a filly. Bummer. Poor Twilight. Oh. For some reason, this reminds me of a line from Bluestar's father to Bluestar in Bluestar 2. It's like, where it's like, at the end of a long, hard day of training and everything, it's like they're just relaxing and chilling out, and he says to Bluestar, it's like, this is an important part of your training, because resting is just as important as working hard, because without it, there's nothing left to fight with. I just sort of felt like adding that in, even though, yeah, it really wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, it's like, that's kind of important too, I guess. But I certainly like this episode a little bit more after I've seen it a little bit more. It's okay. I mean, that's a short answer. It wasn't great, but it was an okay children's episode. Yeah, I've seen stuff like this before, so I know everything's going to end in horrific and horrible disaster, and that Spike is... ultimately, he means well, but he's doing the wrong thing. But the interesting thing with that was that he didn't go too far. It didn't go into total lunacy. It kind of got a little bit close, but it ultimately was okay. It's like he was seduced a little bit to the dark side, but he didn't go completely to the dark side. It's like, yeah, I would have liked to have heard his explanation as to why the princesses need a painting of him, particularly in that way. So I would have liked that to hear his explanation, sort of, I guess, but But yeah, ultimately he did learn the lesson, and I think as ANY and Bronny Buck pointed out that yeah, Keynes is not simply telling him the answer; she's motivating him to sort of figure that out for himself, and so that he learns the lesson himself, and that was definitely cool. And again, that's in a very princessy way that the princesses are not just this is the lesson, go do that. This is what you should do. It's like no, it's like that's what I love about the princesses. They're just simply not that. They're trying to help these ponies and dragons in this case figure these things out for themselves. And he does figure it out for himself. It's like, okay, Cadence, I understand what you're trying to tell me. You're right. I'm sorry. And everything. And that was good. That was very good. Despite all the episode's problems, I did really, really like the lesson and the ending, and it was kind of cool. The forgiveness of Spike was kind of sudden and everything, but I think, it's a classic thing that, what, they realized Spike, he meant well, he's obviously apologizing, he's trying to make it right, everything's cool, it's like, oh, okay, and everything. And besides, we're all here to be one big happy pony and dragon family here, so you know what, we'll forgive and forget, everything's cool. And of course, they all put the statue back together again, and it was just so touching and so beautiful, I tell you. It's like, I really like this lesson that, no matter how big or small our role is, we all have an important part to play, and we're all part of something bigger, and I definitely like that. Especially given our culture sort of, in a way, doesn't operate like that. Yeah, our culture only says that the princesses are important, and in a way, no one else is. But of course, that's absolutely not true. Without the rest of the ponies, the princesses would have nothing to do. They would just be these 4 ponies that sit in Canterlot, and they would have nothing to do. There'd be no point to having the princesses at all. That's what makes Equestria the show so cool, is that it's all about all of these ponies and how all their differences and everything can come together to form something bigger than it was before. Yo-ho! Yeah, so overall, this episode, it was okay, and we did get to see things that we haven't seen before. It was kind of fun, and it did have a really good lesson. It had its problems, but it was okay in the end. And again, I say to everyone, it's like, go out there and play your part, no matter how big or small it is, and we will go and make something larger than ourselves and make a difference. Yo-ho! So that is the end of my Afterthoughts review of Princess Spike. This is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.